Hey, we're live. I'm Jeff with eBay Addicts, and today my special guest is ReSell Junkie. How are you doing today, man?
Dude, I am great. How the heck are you?
Good, good. I'm glad and excited to have you on the show today. Do you want to introduce yourself to our viewers in case they don't know who you are, to kind of tell us who you are, where you're from? Go ahead.
So I'm Sebastian. My wife and I, we resell used stuff online. We've been doing that for the past few years, and we teach people how to make money in non-traditional ways, whether it's just like hustling on the side, like DoorDash and Uber and just all those things. I hate having a job and I hate the traditional career path in life. So that is my intent in life now, is to inspire people how to make money in weird, non-traditional ways. Our whole ecosystem is called ReSell Junkie because that's what I feel like I am. I'm a ReSell Junkie because I love looking for little treasures.
Okay, awesome. Now, you want to kind of give us your backstory a little bit, because you're a full-time reseller now, is that correct?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to say. You know, it took a while to get to this part. I've been thrifting kind of my whole life. I've been poor. I've never had money. I came from immigrant parents and that whole, American story kind of thing. My original career path in life was actually culinary, and I got to a really, really high level. I was very dedicated. I started at 18 in kitchens, and by the time I was 21, I was running a multi-million-dollar a year restaurant. Now, I probably shouldn't have been in that position, but I was the best English speaker in the kitchen at the time, so I got the job. But that led me down like a crazy career path as far as like dedication and determination. I gave up my whole life just to cook, pretty much. I was working, at least 10 to 15, 16-hour days sometimes. And then I got like the job offer of a lifetime. I got a job offer at a 1 Michelin star kitchen. It was the dream job. I mean, this guy was on Netflix. He's a world famous chef. You can go watch him right now. It was crazy, right? Like, I was a small island kid coming from, greasy fast food places where like half my staff was literally illegal immigrants, and those were my boys, to now working in a place where we were plating everything with tweezers. It was wild, and it was my dream, but I quit 1 week into it. I hated it. I hated being there. I hated everything about it, man. Like, they wanted to pay me $9 an hour to work 80 hours a week. It was the most insane thing I've ever been a part of, right? Even though this would have set my career to a whole new standard, but I'd be working in a hot kitchen right now. Still to this day, I would have never got past that threshold of still being a grunt, and it sounds romantic to become a chef and to do all this stuff, and it looks cool on Netflix and they make cool movies about it. But dude, at the end of the day, you're a young kid giving up your life. Most likely you're going to have some sort of alcoholic or drug abuse issues, and you're going to ruin your body. So I left that industry. I started making donuts with this guy that just opened up a donut shop. He paid me 40 grand a year to help him make donuts. So I started doing that. And then somehow, dude, I ended up getting a sales job selling suits when I had never worn a suit in my life before. New York City is a crazy place if you know how to use Craigslist and talk to people. Changed my life, man. Changed my life. It was crazy. I started selling suits in the middle of New York City, and it kind of taught me like the value of money and how little people care about money as far as like wealthy people. So something I really try to teach and like inspire and just instill into people is that never think with your own bank account, because I learned that in New York City. Like, dude, I would literally have guys spend $5,000 within 30 minutes of just suits, literally just suits for that month, right? This was their budget for the month. It was crazy. So after that, long story short, just to cut this off a little bit, I got a corporate job. It made me super miserable. And instead of working and taking care of my sales route, I would go thrifting instead. Started off slow, but then within the first year, we did 100 grand in sales. And then that's where I'm at now. It's crazy. Sorry if that was a little longer than it needed to be.
No, it's fine, bro. It's fine. Yeah, I was actually watching your channel last week, and I saw you had a video come out, and it was talking about how to make 6 figures reselling as a full-time reseller. And then I saw your channel name, ReSell Junkie. I was like, man, I've got to reach out to this guy. We've got to get him on the show. I've got to reach out to him and connect. So I appreciate you coming to hang out with me. I wanted to say hi to some people in the chat. We got Hyphen Gold here, and we got the Far North Thrift is here. So if you guys are in the chat, you guys are hanging out, go ahead and ask our guests some questions, because I got a ton of questions for you. So, so you went to school to be a full-time chef, and once you got there, once you got to be a chef, right, and you chased the pot of gold and then the rainbow, it
Mhm.
wasn't what you thought it was going to be. And you got there, you said they were working you 10, 12, 13-hour days, and you were just in the kitchen. You're giving up nights and weekends and holidays and times with your friends and family to be into chef cooking.
Yeah.
And after a while, you just figured out that wasn't what you wanted to do, right?
Dude, this was my heart and soul. When I tell you I loved cooking, I loved cooking. Like, if anyone's ever seen that Bradley Cooper movie where he becomes a chef, I forgot what it's, Burnt. It's a really good movie. It really kind of shows what my life was like in that kind of kitchen. I don't ever want to compare cooking to the military or to war, but it's about the closest thing you can come to when it comes to like just like a set standard of ways you work, especially in high-end kitchens. Like, it's very different than what most people understand. It's very, very strict. I mean, there's one kitchen I worked in as when you're a young chef, you do this thing called staging. It's pretty much working for free to either get a job or just to learn on the job. It's like an internship kind of thing. You could stage for one night, you could stage for a whole year. It just depends. I went and staged at a 2-star restaurant in New York City. This place was so strict. I'm not even making this up, dude. We would break down the kitchen 5 times a day to deep clean it. If you washed your hands in the sink, literally, like, you just wash your hands in the sink, you have to wipe down the whole sink. It has to be dry when you're done, right? This kid came in that was an employee there. He'd been working there for a while. He had a black eye. He told the boss, the chef, that he got jumped and his phone got stolen and all this stuff. And the guy looked at him and he said, "Don't be late again." It was,
Really?
dude, that's the world I was in. That's the world I was going for. And that's the world I got to. So at that time, too, I had a job interview at the #1 restaurant in the world. It was a 3 Michelin star restaurant called 11 Madison Park in New York City. I didn't go to that interview. A lot of things added up to that. But that would have literally changed my life if I would have gotten a job there. I would have been stuck in kitchens for at least like the next 10 to 15 years because my career would have taken off at that point. Nothing about it felt right. I trust my gut more than anything in the world. As soon as I got in those kitchens, man, as soon as I got that job, nothing felt right. Nothing felt okay. My soul didn't feel good. And like you started this off, I didn't go to school for culinary. I learned all this by myself from School of Hard Knocks and just from reading and researching and being a nerd about it. I mean, listen, cooking isn't about knowing recipes. Cooking is about knowing techniques and why things happen on a scientific level, right? Cooking has nothing to do with the recipes after you get to a certain point, right? If you're working low-level restaurants, yeah, they have recipes to keep everything, running functionally day to day. But once you get to a higher level, it's a lot more like theory and concept and plating and just psychology, more so than it is just like, hey, cook this steak perfectly, right? Like, there's intent to it. And that intent, it takes a lot out of you, right? To be a chef and to grind out every single day, mentally and physically, I got a bad back. I'm 29 years old. My back is shot, my neck is shot. Like, my knees sound like there's broken glass in them. Like, I'm so beat up from just working so hard. It's wild. Now, I do recommend every young kid do go work like that. I definitely recommend like a trade or something hard rather than schooling immediately. But to each their own on that one.
Okay, so awesome. So I want to get fast forward a little bit. What got you to the point where you got tired of working in kitchens, you got tired of this sales job, and you were just like, hey, you know what? I put my 2 weeks notice in, I'm leaving, and I'm going to go do my own thing. And what led you to leave the corporate world to kind of being a full-time reseller? And when you left, did you know that's what you wanted to do? If you wanted to be a full-time reseller when you left?
Have you ever been depressed in your life? Like honestly, have you ever felt like real depression, not just sadness, but have you ever just like woken up every single day and just felt like nothing? Have you felt like that?
Yeah, I had a time. One time, I was working at General Electric, and I had a time where I just got blindsided, and the company got outsourced to this Chinese company, and I thought, I was like, man, I've got 10 years of seniority, I've got health insurance, I've got a pension, I've got benefits, and I was planning on staying there till I retired. And then when I got blindsided and got laid off and lost my job, my girlfriend broke up with me, and it was just like one of them things where you're just like, it was a domino effect of one thing after another. So I've been there before. I've been kind of blindsided and been depressed before. So I definitely can relate to what you're saying, but I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No. I really wanted to know. I wanted to know if you ever felt that kind of sorrow so you can maybe relate to me. Now,
Yeah.
my cool sales job that I got selling suits, that was in New York City, right? So I started talking to this girl that I had a crush on back in high school, back in our hometown. This was crazy. It was just long distance and it just all kind of worked out. She lived in Utah, so I left New York City to move to Utah. She was a police officer, so I decided to get like a real job and go corporate. And I figured, why not? I liked sales and I knew a lot about cooking. So I got a job at Sysco Foods, which is the largest food distributor in the country. As a kid that didn't have any sort of college degree, I did awful in school, all of this good stuff. This was, again, kind of like a dream job that a dummy like me shouldn't have had, almost in a sense. The salary was amazing. Like, dude, they started me at 52 grand a year plus commission, plus bonuses, plus full benefits, plus a stock plan, plus like literally everything was handed to me that any normal person could ever want. Like, most people's dreams would have been like kind of over at that point. If I would have stuck out there, I probably would have made 100 grand a year after like 10 years. You know, that's the problem with it. There was no it didn't feel right, man. Being in the corporate world, it's like, it was the weirdest thing in the world. Going from the craziness of kitchens, and if no one's ever worked in the kitchen, they're not going to understand this. Like, kitchens are crazy, crazy places. People that work in restaurants are crazy people. And I can say that because like I know these people. I've spent years with them. I know who these people are, and they know they're crazy, you know? Going from that to something that was like, no, you need to do this because we say so, and this is the rules, and this is how we do it, and congratulations, Bob, for working here for 30 years. Like, I would just sit around in these meetings, man, and it's just like, they had these meetings to have meetings. They didn't have meetings with intent. They had meetings to, you know, check something off because the corporate overlord sent it to them, you know? And for my personality type, I can't sit still. I can't listen to rules. I can't have someone tell me what to do every single day and how to talk and how to act and how to dress. I mean, it's all these rules, man, like how to shave your face. It just, I don't do that. It doesn't work for me. So that's why I've never like excelled at a job. And that's why I've always felt like stupid and different than everyone, because I just don't like rules. And that's why I like this path in life. You know, now I've said this before on my channel, becoming a reseller has, again, brought some of the lowest points in my life. Like, as depressed as I was working for Sysco Foods, I've had even 10 times greater emotions during this business because of how much responsibility there is now. You know, so I'm not saying that there's like this magic bullet where I just quit my job and I suddenly got happy. Yes, I'm happier, but there's still so many highs and lows and dips and valleys that I have to worry about on a daily basis, you know? So it's not all just rainbows and butterflies and, you know, all that good stuff. I want to make that real. I've never wanted to like sugarcoat this on any platform that I've talked about. Like, doing this sucks sometimes. Like, finding inventory all the time sucks, you know? Like, it's hard work. It gets tedious. It's repetitive. I mean, is this the dream job that I've wanted for myself? No, not by any stretch of the means. Is it something that's changed my life? Yes. I mean, great. It's changed the whole trajectory of my life. I mean, it's crazy. Like, we started selling used stuff on Poshmark from our closet, and now we teach people how to sell stuff online. It's weird how it's all kind of come full circle, you know?
Okay, cool. Give me 1 second. I wanted to say hi to Nikki Pink Thrift. She says, I love this power family right here. So I don't know if you know Nikki Pink Thrift. She says, people like us write the rules. We got four North Thrift. He says, not relying on a job. And he says, reselling equals freedom. Hyphen Gold asked a question. He wants to know, what type of items do you sell?
So it started with pretty much everything. Like, we've sold anything and everything. We've sold like over 8,000 items now online. I've had diverse interests my whole life. I've always been this crazy kid that is like skateboarding and BMX and like paintball and like guns and just everything. I've had an interest in a little bit of everything in my whole life. So it's made it really easy to become a reseller because I could just kind of pick and choose through a bunch of different categories, whereas some people may just only start with home goods and just stick there. But for the most part now, all of our income comes from clothing, pretty much. It's crazy to kind of say that. I had to think about it for a second, but it's true. I mean, the majority of our income, like 98% of it, if not more, comes from used men's clothing. Now, like I said, they used to come from everything. It used to come from electronics. It used to come from anything I could make money on. But I got sick of that. I got sick of shipping different size items all the time. I got sick of having to make custom boxes. And again, I became a reseller, but I got sick of certain aspects of it. So I got rid of it because I didn't want to do it. That's why we sell clothes, because it's easy. There's no liability with clothes. The return rate is really low for the most part. People aren't scamming you left and right. And everything ships in a poly bag. So yeah, I love clothing. That's why I preach it so hard to everyone. Plus, by the way, you guys don't know this, used clothing is a huge problem in the country, and a lot of it is like actually really, really bad. There's too much clothing out there in the world, so a lot of it actually just gets like taken to the dump or burned or shipped overseas. So that, again, if it makes you feel any better, if you sell used clothing, you're kind of helping the world. So
right. So Sebastian, I want to ask you a question, man. I saw on your YouTube channel, you said a majority of the items that you sell are between $18 and $25 items, around that range, because I think sometimes people go to the thrift store or they're at a Goodwill or a yard sale and they're looking for this $40, $50, $100 item. Like they want to hit a home run every time they're at bat. But I'm with you. I'm kind of want to play the volume game. I'm totally cool with selling $10, $15, $20 items and just doing it multiple times throughout the day, because it's much easier to source $15, $20 items instead of trying to say I'm only going to get $40, $50, $100 items. So can you talk a little bit about what it is that you're looking for, what kind of ROI you're looking for when you're out at the thrift store and you're looking for merchandise to resell? Because this is your full-time gig.
Yeah, man. So on that note, though, real quick, I want to touch on that. I have this vendetta against people being fake on social media and overhyping values of things and making people think that there's value in things when there's not. You as eBay seller, there's value in certain items from certain brands and certain categories, right? Just because something is North Face doesn't mean it's valuable, right? But just because something is Levi's doesn't mean it's cheap, you know, or mass produced. It could be super rare. So I have this kind of vendetta. I just want to have people understand that because you see crazy wins on social media doesn't mean that's real life. People don't understand that I walk into a thrift store and I just don't find things sometimes, or I just get upset and I walk out like because it's frustrating because things are overpriced. Like it happens all the time, but social media makes you think that you're just going to find $1,000 wrap tees all the time at the Goodwill bins when that's not true. Like that happens so far and few between, like it's crazy. So my whole thing is to make this normal. I don't want to blow this out of proportion for people, because once you take it to this find $1,000 items a day level, you lose people, because that's not normal. People don't walk into a thrift store and find these items. You don't find an iPhone at a thrift store. Even though, funny enough, I just made a video about finding an almost brand new Apple HomePod for $4, and that video went viral. And most people didn't believe me, but it really did happen. So that does happen. You do find crazy, crazy things at thrift stores. I just want to make people understand that you need to be realistic, right? The majority of the items you find at thrift stores are normal bread and butter items that are worth between $15 and $30 at the most. You know, you're not finding crazy wins, and if you are, you're an amazing reseller, and you should just, you know, go full steam into it. We find amazing stuff, but again, throughout the years, I've realized that, like you said, finding the cheaper stuff is just way easier, and I'm with you, man. The volume matters. Volume, like if you mimic like any big company, right? Say like Amazon or any of these, General Electric, the profit they're making per item is so minuscule. It's so tiny. Like the average company, average restaurant makes so little money, it's not even funny. That's why they have to rinse and repeat. That's what this business is, man. Like, don't get emotional into it. Don't get so wrapped up into being the cool guy on social media that has to find cool grail tees. Find the normal stuff that you can find all the time and just sell it and make money. Why do you have to be cool about it? You know? And like, I'm getting passionate and personal about it, but I've experienced this firsthand. I used to go to the Goodwill outlets, and there's this group of people that were professional clothing sellers. They had a brick and mortar vintage store. They were a young couple, and they were really smart. They knew exactly what they were talking about. Like so smart and so deep into vintage. But they would find like modern stuff, even like modern North Face or Marmot or nice brands, and not buy it because it was modern. I didn't understand that. Like, I don't understand why you would limit yourself so much to something like that, especially if you're already in the industry and you know it. And it's just weird. Like people have these like certain things they want to stick to and call themselves, like they only want to sell vintage. They only want to sell this. That's great. You keep selling that. I'll scrape off the bottom and make more money than all you guys will steadily, because I find things all the time, you know? So, and I don't look for an ROI. I'm not that particular about it, man. I have this thing in my head. If it's worth my time to wait in line to check out, then I'll buy it. If I have to wait more than a minute in line to check out and something's not right in my gut, then I'll just leave. I really value my time. So if I have a whole pile of stuff in a cart, I will definitely take a lower ROI on items that I find, and I'll just stack them up. But if I only find 1 or 2 items and it's not worth checking out, I probably won't even buy them. I'll just call it a day and go home. That's the way I work.
Okay, yeah, I was just wondering, like, there's some people that say maybe they buy blue jeans for $2 and they want to sell them for $20 or $25. I want to cut to people in the chat. We got Hyphen Gold here. He says, yeah, I quit my job in a tech doing graphic design, and I'm happier doing my own thing, reselling. I missed a free lunch, but I enjoy what I do. We got Living a Blessed Life here. He says, hello. We got Nikki Pink Thrift is in the house. She asked a question about Oliver. Is that your son name?
Yeah, that's my son's name. He's the only one, and most likely he's going to be the only one for now, because my wife and I, we have this crazy goal to live the van life for a little bit. That's kind of the next step in our eBay journey, is to maybe hopefully buy a van, live in it for at least like a year or so, and even thrift out of it. So that's coming soon. I'm going to talk about that more on the channel, and like think about blueprints and like how we're actually going to like sell stuff from a van. But we're thinking about like strongly doing this. So that should be.
I was going to ask you about that. Nikki Pink Thrift, she asked a question. She says, what is a feasible goal? How much do you want to net a year? So I don't know if she means this year or next year in 2021. Do you have like a goal or something set in mind where you're like, man, 2021, we're here, we're going to get to here. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so my rule has always been to make at least 50 grand. I try to make at least 50 grand a year cleared, just to maintain like a normal lifestyle. Some people can maintain a normal lifestyle with way less money. We live in a pretty expensive part of the country. We're in Colorado. So we try to at least hit that goal now. I don't really have a set number. Now, I'm trying to be a millionaire. That's my goal. I don't know what next year is going to bring, but this year has been really interesting. It's been very, very interesting for a lot of reasons. We had our son, so that's kind of a lot more motivation to get rich quick. And obviously the whole climate of how the world has changed is another motivation to kind of get wealthy really, really fast. So we have very ambitious goals or plans. I don't even like to call them goals. We just have a very ambitious plan to just keep building businesses and keep building passive income streams, and just stacking it up. Now, we started with eBay. Like I said in the beginning, we do other side hustles. Like my wife does Instacart and just random things like that when we can make extra money. But this year we've gotten into affiliate marketing. We've gotten into setting up a whole blog ecosystem with ads. We have we have multiple courses, just all these little extra things that we're adding onto. And that's another reason why we're working so hard at YouTube. That's why we're creating daily videos on YouTube, is because we want that monetization. I love making free stuff and I love helping people out, but at the end of the day, I would like a little kickback, you know? So we have a lot of plans. We have a lot of things building up. We're not exactly there yet, right? Like we're making a few pennies a day here and there, like affiliate marketing, things like that. But yeah, we have ambitious plans. We really do. So hopefully we achieve even 10% of it.
You'll get there, man. I'm a big believer in having a notebook and writing your goals down. And it's kind of like you're putting the energy out into the universe and saying, hey, you know, usually when I do that, if I come up with 10 goals, I'll usually get 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10. But I believe in power of writing it down. You don't have to hold it up and say, hey, everybody, look what I'm doing. But if you have something in a little notebook and you look at it every day and you say, okay, this is what I need to get done. This is what's on my agenda. I want to take this stuff from the ink pen, a piece of paper, to the real world. So you're definitely going to get there. I can tell just from your passion and hard work and dedication, your channel will be monetized soon. Flipperson, he has a question. He wants to know, what is your best clothing find ever?
It's a good one. So when I was living in Utah, there was these random, this is the weirdest thing ever. It's gonna sound really weird even describing this. people would literally just like pull off the side of the road and have like swap meets, like little like little families would just dump like trailers full of crap. It was so weird. It was really, really ghetto, but it was awesome, right? You find great deals. I walked up into this one family and they were very just country-like people. Like a lot of their stuff was just kind of like farm equipment, just random stuff. They had these 2 t-shirts sitting there. They were Beatles t-shirts from the 90s. They were all over print, front and back, just crazy things. And they looked brand new. These t-shirts were white and they literally looked like as white as that clock right there. Like they hadn't seen the sun of the day. It was crazy. I got both of them for $8 and I sold each of them for like $120 a piece within a day. I find random crazy clothes all the time, but that was probably the most interesting find and location and price and just everything added up together. It was by far the most interesting. Now I've been at the Goodwill outlets and I found a big E Levi's jacket there. It was all crumbled up. It was like literally like this small. It was crazy. It was pretty beat up. So we only got $140 out of it, but we did only pay $3 for it. So yeah, you do find crazy clothes all the time. The great thing about clothes is that most people think or don't know what clothes are worth. So you can really, really find some grails in clothing, and especially like the t-shirt section and things like that. People just pass them up because they just don't know, so yeah.
All right. So, Sebastian, I want to take you back, hit the rewind button a little bit. So when you got to the point where you're just like, all right, dude, I've had it. I'm ready to leave my job and I want to become a full-time reseller. Were you already doing reselling on the side part-time? Or were you just like, dude, I'm just going to jump out of the airplane and get this parachute to open up on the way down? Like, I just want to know how that happened, because there's so many people who are maybe want to be entrepreneurs or they want to be resellers, but maybe they're on the ledge and they're thinking about jumping, but they're just scared. So give me, because this is coming from a full-time reseller. So I want to kind of put you on the spot here. Tell us the story about what got you to the point where you're like, okay, I've had enough cooking in kitchens. I've had enough working this sales job. I want to go in business and work for myself. Tell us a story about how that happened. And what did your wife say? Was she just like, oh, that's great, you just quit your job and are going to be a reseller? Was she cool with it? Did you guys have an argument? Like, what happened?
So I'm going to start with saying I have the best wife in the world. I literally married my best friend. So she supports every crazy idea I've ever had. I am the luckiest man on the face of the planet. Plus she's beautiful. So I'm just going to kill that question right there. She supported this from every single second, and she supports every stupid decision we make now. But going back to that time in my life, it was, like I said, I was slacking off at this corporate job. So my job was a sales job, and I would go to restaurants and talk to them about food and promotions and growth and things like that. I had a lot of free time. I didn't have to report to my boss every single day. I only saw him once a week for a weekly meeting, things like that. So I just really had a lot of free time. I should have been prospecting and finding new business for my food route, but I was going to thrift stores. I was literally like, I should have been being like, hey, John, do you want to buy some chicken? But instead I was at the Goodwill looking for t-shirts to resell. This went on for a while. Now I had to lie for a long, long time, probably like 6 months at this job. I took full advantage of it, and I don't hide the fact of it. And I support people taking advantage of corporations. I think it's a great thing to do. If you can start a side hustle while working at your job and you can still maintain your job, I think that's a great thing to do. Now, I wasn't like evil or malicious. I didn't like neglect my existing customer base. I would still take care of them. I was still doing my daily tasks, but at no point was I trying to grow my sales route. So I had a lot of free time. I just went thrifting all that time, and I would just handle my eBay stuff that whole time. I'd have to lie to my boss all the time about why like my business wasn't growing. So that was the hardest part of it. It was just keeping the lie going and being like, yeah, Rob, like, don't worry. I talked to that person. Like, they're going to do this next week. Like, that was the hardest part of all of this, right? Making the money was so easy from day one. It was weird. Like, I was just, from day one, this has never been difficult for me. I sold on eBay when I was like 13 years old. I actually started my first business online when I was like 13 or 14 years old. No one even knows that. I've never mentioned that on YouTube, which I should probably do a video about that, and I will after this actually. But it was just never difficult. And within 6 months, we had hit over 10 grand a month in sales. And that was kind of our number. Like Cheyenne and I talked about it, and I'm like, hey, like what's the number? Like, what do I need to do to prove to you that we can do this and I could just quit my job? And we agreed on $10,000 a month in gross sales. We did that for 3 months in a row, and that was it. I quit. I gave them like 3 weeks notice, and I didn't even make it that 3 weeks. I just turned my stuff in and I left. I couldn't do it anymore. It was the easiest decision I made in my life because, again, I value my time and my freedom and my mental health more than absolutely anything in this world. 50 grand a year is not enough to like change my mind on anything. It's just not enough money. It's a drop in the bucket for how much money a business can make, right? People have this like idea in their head that they can't get rich. Every single normal person can get rich if they start a business, if their business succeeds, right? That's the easiest way to become rich, is to start businesses. There's not many rich people that don't get their wealth from businesses, So that's the way my mind works. Every day we're in this, I keep seeing more and more, and just people keep buying. Even during the pandemic, man, people spend even more money. Like eBay sales are up, like things are, ours aren't up, ours are down. But in general, like online sales are up and it's all growing. So it's very motivating. And we're moving in this era, man. This is the new generation of the digital world. Like we had that first kind of wave of YouTube and like all these guys getting famous. But now I think after 2020, I think it's like a second wave, right? So we started this off talking about YouTube and all that. I think this is the second wave of the digital era as far as e-commerce is concerned, as far as things like this are concerned. This is getting way more normal, like just about normal everyday conversations, like the whole live chat thing. Like people are getting accustomed to being online and just consuming more and more. So why not sell more and more and start a side hustle now? Don't start a side hustle in, the mid of 2021. It might be too late at that point. Like do it now so you're prepared for if the world gets worse financially.
Yeah, we're on the same page. I think I made a post on my community section the other day and was like, hey, don't wait for January 1st to make New Year's resolutions. Go do it now. Because sit down on a Saturday, Sunday, get your pen and paper, start coming up with plans of what you want to do with your life. You don't have to wait for, setting New Year's resolutions. Just give me 1 second. I want to catch the people in the chat. We got Jennifer Hayes here. We got Sal here. He says, smart man. Yes, I agree. We got Nikki Pink Thrift here. She says she loves your passion and tell your beautiful wife we said hello. We got the reseller niche here. I checked out your channel yesterday, reseller niche. Keep up the good work. We got Jennifer Hayes here. We got Hyphen Gold. He says, I've been picking up clothing again because of the value and the space saving aspect. And we got the bearded veteran here. So, hey, this is what I wanted to ask you, man. What really caught is definitely conceivable that a person could make $100,000 a year as a reseller if they weren't lazy. Like you don't have to read all the books. You don't have to watch all the thrifting and haul videos. If you just get up off your butt, turn the TV off, put down the bag of Cheetos and get up off your butt and start doing it, you're going to be able to be successful at it if you're just willing to put the work in. So, because I saw people in the comment section was like, oh, is this real? Is this legit? Is he talking about gross numbers or is that profit? I'm like, what difference does it make? It's $100,000 a year. Like, just get up off your butt and start moving. Yeah, I always hate that when they're like, wait a minute, is that gross sales or is that net? I'm just like, it's $100,000 a year. Are they paying you $100,000 a year at your job? No. Okay, well, get up and get to work. So go ahead, Sebastian. I want to kind of put you on the spot, but I saw your video and it kind of caught my attention. And I want you to tell us, how realistically is it for someone to make $100,000 a year in their first year as a reseller? And what comes with it? Like people see, oh, here's this big number on a screen, but what kind of groundwork do you have to lay to get to that point? Because we talked before the show started that you had a lot of times where you had a big death pile, you had struggles along the way. Speak a little bit about that. I'm going to shut up and let you talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, dude. So I learned this in my first year of reselling, this one theory. I'm not sure where I picked this up. It was probably from some other reseller. You go to college and you spend money, and that's normal, right? That's totally normal. You're supposed to pay for college. But people get into reselling and they buy things that maybe don't sell or sell for less than what they thought it would sell for. And then they get disheartened and like they're burning through money and they're doing all this and they just give up, right? Most people just give up before it gets better. it's okay to lose money being a reseller. Like, in fact, like I've said this on another podcast, like you should lose money as a reseller. That means you're growing and that means you're trying, right? A lot of people are so scared to try anything new because of like traditional values or social norms or what people are going to think, or maybe like, okay, listen, if you think about eBay from 10, 20 years ago, like, yeah, you're like a dirty eBay scum rat. Like eBay kind of is like the bottom of the barrel where you go get scammed. But no, it's not like that. Like, it's changed. Things are different. It's a whole different world, kind of like how we were talking about the digital era of things. You know, things have gotten better. Like when I was young and on eBay, like I did some weird things on there. Like you could send money to people for things still. Like I was selling on eBay back in those days, even though I'm still a young kid right now. But it's one of those things where so many people, they're so scared to start anything because they hear stories or they hear, oh, this happened this one time in this one place from this one person that I heard about, right? So many people are just scared. And I see this all the time, man. I go on eBay forums and I read these comments and I read what people say about eBay. And that's a big reason why I stopped being really involved with the eBay community. I don't like most of them. This is awful for me to say, and maybe one day I'll regret saying that, but if you go on the eBay forums, it is probably the lowest place in the internet that you can find. These people make it so miserable for no reason. It's like, dude, you're selling used stuff online and you're making money. How much can you complain about a 10% fee? Like, do you understand what a brick and mortar costs to run every day and you're complaining about paying 10%? Like, come on, grow up a little bit. Like, if you can't afford 10%, then become a better reseller. And don't be a reseller, stick to your corporate job. Like, people see these $1 million sellers. They see these people on Amazon FBA that do $5,000 in sales a day and, work from their phone. That is so difficult, like so difficult to get to, but it's not difficult to do $100,000 a year in sales. Like, that's a low threshold. Like, that is such little success. It's not even like on the meter of success when it comes to reselling. Like, you follow these big shots online. I'm not even gonna like shout anyone out, but you follow all these big, YouTubers. You could pick whichever one you want, and you see these crazy numbers. You see them doing $1,000 a day in sales, and then maybe you get disheartened because you haven't sold anything in a week and you quit. They do $1,000 in sales because they never quit. That's the secret. Don't quit. Just don't quit. I should have quit this 2.5 years ago when we were in crazy debt, when we took a horrible PayPal loan. I should have quit this when it started making my wife and I argue. I should have quit so many times. I've been depressed, like I said in this. I should have quit then. I hated it. I hated being a reseller. I hated thrifting at points in my life, but I never quit. And now I'm at this point, I'm talking to you about it, and I'm hopefully teaching people how to get to this point. So that's the thing. You have to start and you have to not quit. Like, in this world now, the digital world that we're talking about, like I mentioned earlier as well, we're getting into blogging. Blogging is one of those things that everyone fails at because, again, they quit or they don't do enough work. They do one blog post a month and they think that that's going to get them traffic to their website, when in fact they should be doing one blog post a day for about 3 months, right? To have like a build up of content. But most people don't do that. And then they say that these things don't work because they listed one item on eBay and it never sold. Yeah, no duh, didn't sell. It's a volume game. You have 30 gajillion million listings on eBay every single day. You need to just not quit and just keep going. Just keep listing, man. That's the one thing, is whenever people ask me about like slow eBay sales and things like that, like, just keep listing, keep adding more items. Don't stop.
Yeah, well, that's like if I go to the gym and I say, hey, man, I went on the treadmill for 30 minutes and I weighed 300 pounds and now I weigh 399. Like, this whole working out thing doesn't work for me, bro. Like, I went here, I ran on the treadmill for 30 minutes. How come I don't have a six-pack abs? Like, you just have to keep, it's got to be, you got to put more work into it. I know we're running out of time. I don't want to keep you over the timer. So give me your top 3 tips. If someone is a part-time reseller and they want to become full-time and they want to make a full-time living on eBay to support their wife and kids and family, give me your top 3 tips that would help somebody in this area.
Okay, so number 1, you need to understand why you're doing this. What is your goal? Why are you reselling? what is the intent? What is the plan? What is your family's plan? What kind of life do you want, right? So our why and our reason behind all of this is because we want absolute freedom. We want no rules whatsoever. I mean, when I tell you we want no loyalties to anything, I absolutely mean that. We want to be so self-sufficient that it's not even funny. That is our why. That is what we're working towards every single day. So those days that I did want to quit, I'm like, well, I don't want to quit because I'd rather be rich and free one day instead of just like harbor this misery for the rest of my life, being like, what if, right? So that's number one. Just understand your why and understand why you're doing this, and make real legitimate plans with your family, because everyone's reality is different. Maybe you want to keep your corporate job and you don't want to quit. Don't do it. Keep your corporate job and don't quit. Just sell on eBay on the side. Number two is understand the market and go deeper. Don't be so surface level. That's the problem with so many YouTubers, so many of these people talking about things online, so many people on the eBay forums. They're too surface level. They don't get into details and the minutia. And the minutia and those little details is where you make money with reselling, okay? Having a vast knowledge of things is really, really important. And I need beginner resellers to know that. Like, I need you to understand like kind of the general values of certain items in thrift stores, so you can walk into a thrift store and just kind of go through the whole thing without being overwhelmed. But at the same time, you need to pick a niche. You need to understand something. You need to understand way more about one particular thing than other people do. So for us, it's like men's clothing. That's our niche. That's our thing. I can just run through any single store and just feel so comfortable any part of the country just running through clothes. It's just my thing. Everyone starts with a different thing. And that's my third tip, okay? Just because we sell clothing, don't sell clothes if you don't want to, man. That's gonna make you so miserable, and all that's gonna do is create a job for you. So I tell everyone, start with what they like. Start with what you know. So if you're a video gamer, start with selling PCs or game systems or doing stuff like that. Do not start reselling stuff based on what some gurus told you online. Do not do that, okay? That is the worst way to like do this, because there's no motivation to really keep you going, because you have no interest in what you're selling. You're just selling stuff to make money. And yeah, that's great, and that could pay your bills, but that's also a fleeting emotion, right? You need sustainability. So that's what it is for me. I like shopping for men's clothes. I like nice clothes. I like fashion in general. And again, there is a greater good to this because we are in some small part helping the earth. So yeah, all that stuff may sound wishy-washy, and it's not exactly like direct techniques. But again, I don't believe in like giving a person a fish, right? I rather teach them how to fish. I want bigger picture stuff, and I think that's what a lot of people are missing on YouTube, unfortunately. So
yeah, I think we're both on the same level of trying to teach people how to fish instead of giving them a fish. So we're both on the same level as far as that goes. We got the Flip Lord in the house. We got Flippy McFlipperson. He says, Sebastian, who are your favorite YouTubers? Who do you recommend watching for reselling info?
So I'm not going to badmouth anyone. I've had bad experiences with some big resellers. Have paid for classes that were just garbage. I don't really recommend people to watch except for Craigslist Hunter. Peter Shesh, I love Peter. He is the OG. He's the one that got me started. And I think he is by far the most credible and reliable source of reselling information as far as normal, everyday kind of stuff. And then Resale Rabbit. I like him because he's flipping liquidation pallets and stuff like that. And he's making a lot of money flipping really cheap junk, right? Not to badmouth him. I love his channel. I love how big it is. I love everything he's doing. But it's a whole nother aspect of this business that most people will never, ever see. And he gives a real life look into it. I'm going to be completely honest. I stopped watching eBay resellers quite a while ago. I'm not really in that community again. I've been making my own kind of route and passage. As weird as that kind of sounds, like I consumed a lot of content. When I first started, man, the first year and a half, anything and everything. I was watching every single thrift haul, but they get repetitive, man. Everyone's selling the same stuff. Everyone looks for the same stuff, and everyone just copies each other on YouTube. So yes, consume as much as you possibly can in the first year or so. but then just make your own path, find your own way. Don't just think that what these people are saying is the only thing that's worth money. I always recommend people to watch other things than reselling as well. So Company Man, that's a really good one if you want to learn about how really large businesses either succeeded or failed. It's a really, really interesting YouTube channel. I highly recommend anyone that's interested in business to check it out, because you learn like some crazy information about the world's biggest companies. It's really interesting. And I mean, it pertains so much to reselling. And, if you mimic what big companies do, then you may be successful. Or if you avoid what they did, you may avoid huge financial burdens. So that may have not answered the reselling question, but Craigslist Hunter, Resale Rabbit, Company Man.
Got it. Okay. I don't want to keep you much longer. Nikki Pink Thrift is in the chat. She says, this is one of your best interviews, Jeff, in my opinion. So tell people where they can find you at on Instagram and YouTube if they want to come by and check your content out.
Cool. Yeah. So little fun fact for the any sort of algorithm, if you actually type in the person's name you're looking for, it really does help boost them in the algorithm. So if you go on YouTube or on Google and you type in ReSell Junkie, that will actually help us out even more. So we would highly appreciate that. But we're pretty much ReSell Junkie everywhere. We're on TikTok mainly. TikTok and YouTube are our big two things right now. Instagram, we're probably going to pull back from here shortly. But yeah, follow us on YouTube, follow us on TikTok, and that's where all the cool stuff gets posted.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to hang out with us. I wanted to say hi to the Cap guy. He just stopped by to hang out with us today. So give me your final thoughts, and we'll get you out of here. Give me your final thoughts. If someone if they're working a dead-end job, they want to be an entrepreneur, they want to be a reseller, give me your final thoughts on how somebody should go about doing that.
I'm gonna leave it on an emotional note, man. So this year started years ago, dude. This started so long ago, it feels like a different lifetime. My wife and I, we were different people. Our marriage was different. We were weaker as a couple. We were not what we are now. We could never go on camera. We can never communicate. We can never really do much. Reselling changed our lives. It is the best single decision I ever made in my life. I was a very toxic person before, as far as like mentally, just not a happy dude. A lot of it came from work. A lot of it came from other things, just basic stresses in life. I'm not saying that I'm the happiest man in the world now, but I am thousands of % happier than I have ever been in my life. It's been the hardest thing I've ever done, is to be self-employed, and trying to deal with taxes and the IRS is the worst thing I've ever encountered in my life. But it's changed my family's life, man. So if you're at all thinking about it, if you're watching this and you don't know, do it. Just do something. Don't become a reseller. Do something. If you like baking cupcakes, go bake cupcakes. Try to make some money. Post them on Facebook. Do something. Just copy someone if you need to, but just understand that people make a lot of money doing really stupid things every day online. So that's what I like to remind myself. And a lot of like bad people are really rich. So if you're a good person, most likely you could probably get some sort of success in life. So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate you guys taking time to hang out with me today. I got your channel, Instagram and YouTube is linked in the description below. So go ahead and check his channel out and follow him, give him a follow. And I appreciate you taking time out of your day to hang out with me. Hopefully, maybe sometime after the new year, we'll have you back on and we'll hang out again, okay?
Yeah, let's do this all the time. Let's talk about YouTube next time. Let's rap about that, all right?
Hey, but next time I have you on, you're going to be monetized and we'll be able to talk about it, all right?
Let's do it, bro.
Let's make that happen. All right, man. Have a good day, man. Thanks for hanging out with me, man. All right,
Pleasure.
bye.
Adios.